Hi, everybody. April 2nd, 2019. So I posted this video yesterday or 2 days ago. What's going on? Social media, hybrid warfare. What's your role? Well, we're all playing a role in this war that we are engaged in. And it has come down to two sides. You know, you're either on the side of evil or you're on the side of good. And there's an awful lot of evil. Uh, we have a lot of people who are changing here in the cyber world. Um, and this is one of them, Jake, Blackstone Intelligence Report. He posted a video. It's a hit piece on Wolfgang Halbig, and I'm going to address this in a moment. I was asked by several people to address this Wolfgang Halbig video that he posted. I don't look. I'm also getting comments from people who are asking me, what do you think he's doing? What's going on? I don't know. I don't know him. I can only speculate. I will say this: he has an agenda. Now, the comment that I received a day ago. Okay, never lose truth. Blackstone just made another video on the Sandy Hook issue. I'm confused. Why has this become an issue again? I guess because Alex Jones came out and said he was psychotic when he was claiming that Sandy Hook was a staged event. Now he's saying that Sandy Hook it was real. It's really a remarkable time that we are living. Mountains of evidence that, as far as I'm concerned, there is no dispute anymore. Sandy Hook was a staged drill. FEMA Emergency Management Agency, site activation call down drill, exercise plan, mass casualty drill. If you read further down, mass casualty drill involving children, and the date of the drill was the date of the Sandy Hook event, 12/14/12. The publishing date, October, like 2 months prior to the actual drill. There's a reason why I'm saying that. You know, it takes months of preparation for these drills. And I'm going to show you some evidence that they were preparing in Connecticut for this drill. But he goes on to say, could you please explain or do a follow-up video on his Halbig video? I know this would be asking too much, but it would be nice to see the two of you debating the issue. No, absolutely not. I do not want to even talk to someone who has an agenda, and truth is so not his agenda. He posted this video. Cold, hard facts that matter to people who care about truth. Okay. There's no point in even discussing any of the evidence with this guy because he is deliberately degrading all of us who have had a lot of questions about Sandy Hook. He calls us stupid, hoaxers, nutcases, nut jobs, trolls, nasty people. Now, he does say, for those who had questions about some inconsistencies on that day, some, Jake? Oh, there are so many inconsistencies, but he says, okay, that's fine. So he's talking about all of the people who are harassing the parents. Now, there might have been some people harassing Lenny Posner and other parents. I don't know. Who knows who those harassers were? They could have been people who were paid to harass, or the parents might have even known that, all right, we're going to be harassed by people. It's all staged, but it's all staged to get those who have done a tremendous amount of research, Jake, who have found a tremendous amount of evidence that that was not a real event. Well, the truth, isn't that the first casualty of war? We've been at war for a very, very long time. And it seems that this guy is part of the that, what was it, the social media, the NATO, let me just pull it up for a second here. One sec. The social media as a tool of hybrid warfare. He may be one of the civilians that this document refers to. They employ civilians in this war. And the war is to create a lot of confusion and division. And it's actually a fascinating document, and it's not that long, which I went over in this video, so I don't want to spend much time. But much time on. So he may very well be one of the civilians employed to do exactly what he is doing right now. He's targeting his audience. It's amazing to me that this guy has 214,000 subscribers. And well, it's really sad to see that so many are right there with him, supporting this. I honestly, I don't know what to do with people who lie, who have no problem lying, fabricating, manipulating. He's manipulating his audience. He's manipulating his subscribers. Perhaps trying to get them to agree with him, and they do. Now, in this video, the cold, hard facts are scant. He's talking about Lenny Posner, who I suppose is how this guy refers to Wolfgang Halbig as the ringleader of the Sandy hoax movement. Really? He's not my leader, but let's just call Lenny Posner the ringleader of the staged actors who were involved in this drill. But he says things and doesn't back it up with any evidence. So maybe he knows Lenny Posner. See, Lenny Posner, we don't even know what he looks like. What, 5 years later? No, I'm sorry, 7 years later. We still don't know what this guy looks like, but he managed to take down hundreds of channels that were posting all of the evidence. Evidence, Jake. See, here he is, like a child, calling those who have done a tremendous, there were so many people who were so diligent, posting videos on all of the evidence that they found that this was in fact a drill. He calls them stupid. They don't know how to research. How do you address somebody who is a child and then gets a lot of support from his base here, his subscribers. I don't know, but you don't go near them. They're people who do this are really, I don't say this in a derogatory way, but it will sound like it. They're very sick. They're very sick. You know, the evidence is Lenny Posner, who finally put up a death certificate of his son, Noah, who died at Sandy Hook and then died again in Pakistan, another mass shooting. Remember that? The picture of Noah in Pakistan. All the pictures of the students who died in that mass shooting. There was Noah. Okay, so I guess Lenny Posner finally produced a death certificate. And don't you find it interesting that here there was immediate action taken by state government officials in Connecticut to seal all documents. The clerk of Newtown entered into secret negotiations with the state legislature to avoid issuing death certificates. Why would they do this if this was a real event? They would never do it. All right. It's really unfortunate that these people exist. He also talks about Lenny Posner, who apparently put on a site his son's report cards. And then he claims that these documents are real. And during this live 3-hour broadcast, I guess somebody asks him, why do you think they're real? They could be fabricated. And then he attacks the person who questions the documents. I question the documents. It's easy to fabricate documents when you have so many state government officials working on this drill that mainstream media reports as real. So yes, of course, those documents could have been manufactured. I'm going to present more evidence that I didn't even know of, that Sandy Hook Elementary School was not even a school that was open. It was closed in 2008. But he said that Lenny Posner contacted Halbig asking to get together with Wolfgang Halbig. He thinking that if he showed Halbig these documents, that Halbig would finally just stop. You know, look, I don't see Wolfgang Halbig as the ringleader of the Sandy hoax movement, but I do see Wolfgang Halbig as the individual who uncovered definitive evidence. I would even go so far as to say conclusive evidence that this was a contrived event. Now, a lot of people, they would immediately dismiss all of the evidence because they could not possibly believe that so many people could be involved in something so extraordinarily traumatizing. Mainstream media involved? How could that be? These are the people who do not understand what is taking place in this country. This guy He's not one of them. I'm not talking about him. He knows. 5 hours he has spent on Sandy Hook this week. He has an agenda. This video is a hit piece. It is one of the reasons why I'm posting this video, why I am speaking out. And if you've been with me for a while, you know I don't like hit pieces. I don't like people being presented in a way that they're not. And I don't like it when somebody's truth is being messed with. Now, do I know the truth of Wolfgang Halbig? No. Do I have any reason to doubt this man's authenticity, his genuine desire to get to the truth about Sandy Hook? Yes. I don't. No, wait. No. Do I have any reason to doubt? No, I don't. And I do believe that that's exactly what he has wanted to do. So in this video, you know, the ominous music, who is Wolfgang Halbig? And then he talks about an interview that Wolfgang gave and says that Wolfgang said that he moved to this country when he was 12 years old from Germany, did not speak a word of English at 12. But then Jake says Wolfgang said that when he graduated high school, he still could barely speak English, but provides no evidence of that. None. Where did you come up with that, Jake? He then says, and he posted this video, and I remember years ago, this kid, there were so many people who were taking down, trying so hard to take down, and, you know, do what the powers that be do. You got to destroy those who are telling the truth, who are asking the questions that will reveal the truth. And that is Wolfgang Halbig. And this little kid, a twit. I guess this is Jake's support. He, including this video, when Jake says, yet today Wolfgang speaks with a perfect Southern American accent with no signs of a German accent. And then he includes this video with this kid saying the same thing. I'm not playing any of the videos because I know there's something wrong with him. And could I get a copyright strike? Sure. Although that copyright strike would really be quite telling of who this guy is. But, so my mother moved to this country, immigrated to this country. My entire family immigrated from Scotland. My mother worked to get rid of her Scottish accent. If you spoke to my mother, you would never think she was from another country. There are a lot of people who work to get rid of accents when they come to immigrate to the United States. There's a lot of people who their accents begin to fall away. So what are you saying, Jake? What? What does it mean that he doesn't have a German accent today when he's 73 years old and has lived the majority of his life here? What does it mean? It means nothing. He's presenting no evidence. He's just throwing stuff out there completely irrelevant to Sandy Hook. But it's the suggestion that he's making, trying to conflate issues. And there's an awful lot of people who don't really think very well or clearly, and they listen to 6 minutes of this, which is crap, and then they actually leave comments. Great investigation. Wow, your investigative skills, Jake. There's no investigation here. This is not great. This is crap. So he's trying to suggest that Wolfgang Halbig is not who he claims to be. He doesn't have a German accent. Maybe he didn't come here from Germany. Maybe he's somebody. Maybe he's working for Mossad or something. Because he then goes into, well, here, this is his writing on this document. If Wolfgang Halbig is the gun rights hero that the Sandy Hoax troll army claims him to be, why was he making donations to help the gun-grabbing Democrats gain more power? How many pro-gun rights people give money to the Democrat Party? First of all, do any of you who were around during, the years of Sandy Hook, any of you perceive Wolfgang Halbig as the gun rights hero? In all the interviews that I've listened to with Wolfgang Halbig, I don't remember him talking about gun rights or gun control. But he's throwing that out. Jake is throwing that out. And he wants people to doubt Wolfgang and question, who is this man? All right. Wolfgang Halbig donated to Hillary Clinton in 2007. And when Obama became the candidate in 2008, he switched to John McCain. I know people who did that. Democrats then switched to John McCain. Okay. Was John McCain a gun-grabbing Democrat? Oh, okay. So what are you saying, Jake? What are you saying? Because he donated to Hillary in 2007, he wanted our guns to be grabbed, but then switches over to the Republican Party. So I guess he didn't want the guns to be grabbed. But it doesn't matter, because there are an awful lot of people who understand that people do not know how to think clearly. And I want to say thank you for those who do think clearly. Like here, anti-establishmentarianism. Jake, at issue here is what happened at Sandy Hook. Halbig's views on Israel, which we'll get to, are a separate issue. Yeah, they are. So why did he post this? You think Jake is stupid? No, he did this deliberately because he knows a lot of people out there can't really see that someone is conflating, bringing in all of these issues to cast doubt on the genuineness of someone who is searching for the truth. All right. Hate to admit this, but I've admitted it before in videos. In 2007, I supported Hillary Clinton. Oh, God, I still have a visceral response when I say that. Yes, it's an awakening process. One doesn't, just suddenly awake and know the truth about everything. There was an awful lot of truth I knew in 2007. I was still caught in the matrix. And I supported a psychopathic, narcissistic nutcase. And I was still in denial about my own malignantly narcissistic family. So, you do the work, And eventually, you come out of the matrix. So I knew about 9/11, and certainly a lot more, but I was still there in 2007. So if somebody is trying to take me down, they would, well, I never donated, so it would be hard for them. Maybe they would post a video with me admitting that I was a Hillary Clinton supporter. Yeah. You can slap me upside the head. You know, it's like a retrospective, I'm sorry, retro punishment. But it's meaningless. It's 2019. We have no idea where Wolfgang stands. Is he still in the matrix? A lot of people never come out of it. Does it say anything about his his attempts to get to the truth about Sandy Hook? Nada. Nothing. No. But he wants people to believe that. So then he posts this interview where, and I'll let you listen to this. Look, Jake, you give me a copyright strike. Well, I think you'll get a lot of backlash. But these are not your videos. You have embedded these videos in your video. So this is an interview with somebody who might have been trying to also tarnish Wolfgang Halbig.
Constant that your father was in a Nazi camp. Where were you born?
I was born in Heidelberg, Germany, and my father was in Warsaw, a prison, war camp for the Nazis.
Okay. You became a naturalized American citizen at the age of 12.
No. I came to this country at age of 12.
Okay.
Couldn't speak a word of English.
Oh, okay. Well, you've done very well. I don't hear any German accent at all. Now, on September 25th, 2012, Mary Bruce wrote an article titled "Obama Outlines Efforts to Prevent Modern Slavery," and under the comments to this article, you wrote the following. Obama hates the Jews and does not even acknowledge that Jerusalem is the capital. Now, was your father Jewish?
Okay, it seems that there was editing taking place right there, because we don't hear Wolfgang's response. She goes into another question.
My father was Polish.
Okay, and so you're Polish?
I am Polish.
Do you believe that Obama does not do enough for Israel?
Absolutely.
Do you think
My God, Israel is the best ally this country could have.
So let me just ask you, so you think that America should be doing more for Israel?
Absolutely.
First of all,
Okay, so that's when he starts talking about how could he not have a German accent? A lot of people lose their accent when they move to this country, especially when they're children. But Jake plays Wolfgang Halbig saying that Israel is our greatest ally. Don't we have a lot of those Christian Zionists who are supposedly awake? And they're all for Israel. Okay? What does his support of Israel have to do with Sandy Hook? Nothing. Nothing. But Jake, is trying, not so successfully as far as I'm concerned, to align Wolfgang Halbig with the Zionists. Then he pulls in Alex Jones, and because Alex Jones interviewed Wolfgang Halbig, then he's tying these two together. There are people who believe that anybody who's interviewed by Alex Jones is not they're just part of the other side, the bad side, the evil side. They're working for these agendas that are taking place to reshape our world and to destroy us and bring in a very dark world. That is such lazy thinking. Now, I've received comments like that. And because Wolfgang Halbig was interviewed by Alex Jones, that's why Jake is including this in his video. Because he wants everybody to see Wolfgang Halbig in a certain light. He's manipulating the music that he's using. He's got an agenda. He has an agenda. He says things in these videos without any proof. It's almost like, Jake, do you know Lenny Posner? Where did you get this information from? But the attacks are at times vicious. The arrogance coming from this guy, no. These are the people that I want out of my real life. And when you see that somebody really does have an agenda, they are so not about truth. They're about trying to dig a deeper hole to bury truth. And that's very obvious. And it's very obvious with this unbelievably hit piece. It's just a hit piece on Halbig. So, yeah, I will link below to the FEMA Emergency Management Agency. This exercise plan, the mass casualty drill involving children on the date of Sandy Hook. I will link again to this book, 422 pages of evidence that Sandy Hook was not a real event. And I will link below to these articles. Sandy Hook hoax, 6 signs that school was closed before massacre. So in one of the videos that Jake posted, I think it was the cold, hard facts. And then he starts going after the facts. He goes after some facts, but not the facts that you really cannot dispute. But he talks about Halbig saying that, and understand this, Halbig. Who is Wolfgang Halbig? Hang on, I want to find that. Well, maybe it's in this. No. All right. Hang on. Here it is. Okay. Wolfgang Halbig, U.S. Customs Inspector and Florida State Trooper, an educator, public school coach, teacher, assistant principal, and principal, and a nationally recognized school safety consultant who was an expert witness in the Columbine and other school shootings. You can read more about Wolfgang Halbig's employment history, what he was involved in. Here, Halbig was invited by the United States Department of Justice to train over 3,500 school police officers, school superintendents, and school principals. He traveled the country by providing presentations and keynotes to a variety of audiences, including the National Education Law Conference, the National School Board Association, the Oklahoma School Board Association, the Illinois School Board Association, New York School Board Association, Illinois, and Florida. A nationally recognized school safety and security expert and consultant. He has provided safety training and school assessments for more than 4,000 school districts nationwide. He was featured on Dateline and Good Morning America. and then the colleges where he got his degrees. What does this guy do? Cold, hard facts. He talks about Halbig being a volleyball coach and a state trooper. And he apologizes to state troopers. But state troopers don't do any investigation. Clearly, you don't either, Jake. Does it really matter? We had, and we are living the time when we've got to let go of the experts and we've got to do the work ourselves. Citizen journalists who come up with more evidence, facts, based on their investigations, their research, than the experts do. So, but what does he do? He doesn't mention the qualifications. So, let's say I was a school safety consultant, and I had the same qualifications as Halbig. And Sandy Hook comes along, and I start seeing major, not just inconsistencies, major quote unquote mistakes happening that day, protocol not being followed. That's what happened with Halbig. That's why he looked into it. And I am somebody who gets grabbed by, okay, we've got a truth here that a whole lot of people are denying, and oh, we need some justice. We need the truth to get out. And yes, I am somebody who I wouldn't stop. Did Halbig harass any government officials or any parents? No. Halbig was asking questions, and everybody has a right to. What this guy is doing is presenting him as the nutcase who's violent, who's harassing everybody. It's reprehensible that this guy is doing it, and I'm sorry that he still has subscribers, because it's clear. There's no guessing what this guy is doing. Why he's doing it, well, one can only speculate. But it's really, wow, man, people are just, I sometimes try to put my feet in their shoes and try to understand how somebody can lie through their teeth. I don't get it. I don't understand. So, what does Jake say about the medical helicopters? All he says is, there was no need. All the kids were dead. So in 11 minutes, this little skinny Adam Lanza was able to kill, I don't know the numbers, 22. And they were immediately declared dead. And no need for helicopters. And I believe Halbig said, it's still protocol. Something's very wrong just with that one the factor, okay? Certainly the parents showing no grief. Donation websites, yes. Donation websites with creation dates that preceded the massacre. Government's continuing refusal to release the death certificates and burial sites. Was Sandy Hook Elementary School operational on December 14, 2012? No, it had been long abandoned. And in this article, here is proof, evidence. Neighbors had said the school's been closed down for God knows how long. Can't understand why there were kids in that building because it was condemned. So it was contaminated with asbestos. It required expensive repairs. Yeah, the Newtown B. The Newtown B. all of these hyperlinks here, you click on them to see the article published in the Newtown Bee talking about how Sandy Hook Elementary School needed a whole lot of repairs. Page not found. Newtown Bee started taking down all of the articles. Again, another article, 2004. Click on it. Page not found. So that was to upgrade and renovate its heating and ventilation system, which would have cost $4.5 million. 2 years later, Newtown Board of Education was told there were serious problems with the Sandy Hook Elementary School roof. 4 years later, in 2008, there was yet more bad news. Sandy Hook contaminated with asbestos. October 2013, nearly 10 months after the massacre, this is the only article that the Newtown Bee didn't take down. Oh, wait. Oh. Well, I got that article yesterday. Interesting. Page not found. Okay. It was an article about how Sandy Hook Elementary had to be demolished, and then it would be rebuilt with a swanky elementary school costing $50 million, a grant from the state of Connecticut. The reason for demolition, asbestos abatement, but it also had PCBs under the flooring and the foundations and footings. All right, 2008. Here, Newtown Bee article published a year after the massacre. Maybe this was the article I found. Yes, widespread hazmat presence would have hampered Sandy Hook renovations. Proof that this elementary school was toxic. And it didn't just become toxic. It was toxic for many years. That's why the school was abandoned. So, do you remember all of these pictures, guys? Yes, this was not a school that was operational. It looked run down. A lot of moss and grime and exposed metal rods on the exterior staircase, and you would never find this in a school that was operating classroom. This is what the school looked like. And these pictures were actually posted on a Connecticut government site. This was Sandy Hook. Really? This is the hallway of the elementary school. Operational? No. Not at all. All right. I mean, my God, it didn't even have the required disability parking. You know, the wheelchair, the blue, and the signs, missing from Sandy Hook. These signs were not in the parking lot. So the archive, Wayback Machine, the school's lack of internet activity from the beginning of 2008 all the way through 2012. Here, way back. Sandy Hook Elementary School had a website. It was active right up until 2008, maybe in January 2008, but suddenly all activity on their website ceases until 2013. That's because Sandy Hook was not an operational school. It was not operating, it was abandoned. Now, well, in terms of how big, this is very important. And this is why I can't stand these people who post these videos, because you do have to present evidence. At least I do. I'm not just going to say there's a lot of evidence and this guy's, oh, well, don't know what he's doing. Can't do that. So they're exhausting. These people are exhausting because they're so twisted. They can sleep at night. They're fine. They have an agenda and they're working it. But all of the people that get affected, and you know what? There's a ripple effect from all of our behavior, what we say and what we do. There is a ripple effect. And it's either a good ripple effect, perhaps a neutral ripple effect, just little tiny ripples that go away immediately, but then you have the bad ripple effect. This guy has created one hell of a bad ripple effect, leaving people very confused, not understanding what he's doing. And I guess with his Wolfgang Halbig video, well, good for you, Jake, because you have subscribers who don't know how to think. So, Halbig, he was trying to get documents from the city of Newtown, which would prove whether or not Sandy Hook was open. Well, just show the documents, right? It's a real event, right? Produce the documents. They wouldn't produce them. So then they had a hearing 2 years later. When you see people behaving this way, these officials who don't want the death certificates released, don't want to release any documents, you know something's up. You know they're hiding something. So when they do that, they create all the controversy. It's not those who are seeking the truth. These are the people who create all of the division, they are the ones who are, they should be the ones who get degraded, but no, it's us. And that means that evil is winning. And I hate it that it is. So, the first of the 2 hearings was to establish whether or not Newtown improperly withheld documents, and whether or not their denial was a violation of his FOIA request. Okay, so he wanted copies of all maintenance work orders. Now remember, he was a teacher. He was an assistant principal and a principal. July 1, 2012 through December 13, 2012. Summertime is when schools are either being renovated, lots of repairs, painting, a whole lot goes on during the summer to get ready for the new year. So he wanted the maintenance work orders, which would include any repairs, painting, any new classroom doors, anything related to maintenance and repair, only from July 1 to December 13, 2012. And it was to he also wanted copies of all emails to and from the principal and her assistant to various school district departments, food service providers from May 1 to December 13. The requested documents would prove the school was open. SandyHookFacts.com. Immediately after the hearing. Big fail. How big? Yeah, debunking Sandy Hook conspiracy theorists. Triumphantly crowed that the FOIA hearing was a total failure for Halbig because Attorney Frank, who represented the city of Newtown, said, "We made those documents available to Halbig 6 months prior to the hearing." Well, if you leave it at that, you would think, well, Halbig, you got the documents, so what the hell are you doing having this hearing? You don't leave it at that. You find out, did you receive documents? What were the documents? What did Halbig receive? These documents from the State of Connecticut Freedom of Information Commission that said, it is found that the respondent's counsel also informed the complainant that his request described in paragraph above was vague, overly broad, and that it was not a request for specific documents and would require research and analysis not required under the FOIA Act. Really, maintenance orders from July 1, 2012 to December 13, 2012. Oh my God, overly broad, vague, and it would take a whole lot of research and analysis. This is what attorneys do, unfortunately. When they don't want to provide documents, they come up with bullshit reasons for it. So, they also said it is found that the respondents through counsel also informed the complainant that the town had no records responsive to the request. No documents, no maintenance records means Sandy Hook was not a school that was open and operating. Closed down in 2008. So Newtown cannot produce any evidence that the school was actually operating. Now, he also has found, Halbig found or obtained more evidence. And yes, he called the school shooting a contrived event. Well, many of us were. You can read more. Yeah, I'll link below to everything and you can read it. But for publicly questioning the authenticity of the official Sandy Hook narrative, Halbig he was targeted with harassment, physical threats, civil lawsuits. He was sued by Lenny Posner, who Jake says Lenny contacted Wolfgang and Lenny wanted to get together with Wolfgang. I guess Jake knows Lenny, and Lenny told Jake that. Well, guess what happened with that lawsuit? Yeah. Stunning move. Father of Noah Posner, Lenny Posner, an alleged Sandy Hook victim, has dropped his civil lawsuit against Wolfgang Halbig just as he was about to have to provide a video deposition. That's when Lenny Posner dismisses or just drops the lawsuits when he has to show up. So Jake, what do you think of that? Wolfgang Halbig sued by Lenny. So I would absolutely schedule a deposition with Lenny Posner. Case dismissed. Dropped. You know, It's so obvious, and that's what is so hard to address. It's so friggin' obvious. All right, more here. Mona Alexis, who apparently is a marriage and family therapist, she said that Leonard Posner may not even exist. And a lot of people have also said that. Who maintains that Leonard Posner is the alias of a man named Reuben Wagner, and that pics of the 6-year-old Noah Posner are actually the younger pics of now grown-up Michael Wagner. Search on 2 paid subscription people search engines, Spokeo and Truthfinder, indicates that there is no Leonard Posner in Florida, Connecticut, or the entire United States. And I remember people posting videos on this years ago. Nor is there a Leonard Posner or a Noah Posner among the family members of Leonard's ex-wife and mother of Noah, Veronique Patricia Posner, who is also known as Veronique Wagner, who never shed a tear. All right. So, more evidence that Sandy Hook was closed. And it was said that Sandy Hook, after the massacre, there's my New York accent, which I actually worked to get rid of. And when I'm really tired, you will hear it. But the Sandy Hook massacre, after that, it's been said that Sandy Hook students moved to Chalk Hill School in Monroe, Connecticut. That's a whole lot of students moving into this Chalk Hill School. Halbig had email exchanges with the principal and school custodian, food, the invoices from Dean Foods, that food was delivered to Sandy Hook, but at the Chalk Hill Middle School, Monroe, months before the massacre. I want to get to what I find very incriminating. Okay. And all of the documents are here, by the way. So, Chalk Hill was not an operating school. And that's why I said, publishing date, October 12th, understand that these drills take months of preparation. They were already in Connecticut months before at Chalk Hill School. And this is evidence here. Chalk Hill Middle School has been empty since June 2011. Connecticut Post, another news publication in Connecticut, April 30, 2017. Chalk Hill Middle School opened in the fall. This is what an article in 2017. All right. Chalk Hill Middle School opened in the fall of 1969 to about 900 students. Now it sits forlorn and locked up with no apparent plan for its future. Ideas range from the wrecking ball to recasting it as a community center to using it as offices for various town agencies. It has been used by the Monroe School District since the end of the 2010-2011 school year. This was not an operating school as well. This was the building where a lot of people involved in this drill were getting together with food delivered to Chalk Hill during those months. Here. Now, in order to get the internet with schools, you have to fill out a particular form. Form 471. Here, March 13. March 13, 2012. Internet ordered for Chalk Hill. If this school was operating the internet, they would have already had access to the internet. They order March 13, 2012 to get the internet into Chalk Hill. So, look, I don't know. I do not know what the hell is up with this guy. This is not anybody that I would want to have in my life, anybody that I would ever want to debate. You know, this guy, I don't know what the hell is wrong with him. All right? That's the best that I can do. And it's unfortunate that people are so low, are so, like, they have no moral character whatsoever. And they do whatever it is that they can to tarnish the reputation of, degrade. But when you see this 6-minute video, Jake trying to, I don't know, it's a hit piece, but trying to establish Wolfgang Halbig as just a nut job. And there's nothing in this video that is relevant to Sandy Hook at all. The so-called evidence that Jake is presenting here is evidence of nothing. I'm not too happy about people supporting Israel. Had a lot of Jewish friends in my life. They sure did support Israel. Did it mean that they were working for the powers that be? They were Mossad agents? They were evil? No. No. So, yeah. Reprehensible. Unconscionable. Despicable. All links are below.